we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
You know what time it is? It's time for the Pregame Show. Joe Spadoni in the house, 95.7 The Game. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. It was hot out there. The bats were hot yesterday at the Coliseum. My goodness. You know, serves me right. And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If you're just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for school, because school is approaching. People going back this week. Little kiddies getting dropped off this week. Man. Summer went by fast. Not quite over yet, but football riot is right around the corner. You feel it. I feel it. Thank God. I need football back in my life. No disrespect to baseball, but there's only so much starting pitching, relief pitching, manager decisions I could break down before my head starts to explode. Speaking of heads exploding and jaws getting rocked, you see what happened to Tim Anderson this past weekend? Woo! J-Ram, clear the deck. My goodness. Hit him with the one piece. Shout out Ike Taylor. My goodness. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Jose Ramirez, Tim Anderson, Guardians, White Sox. Ramirez, I guess, slid late something. Tim Anderson didn't like it. They get up. They do a little pushing, a little shoving. They square up. Tim Anderson starts first. Umpire gets out of the way like he is Kenny Lofton or something like that. And, yeah, the rest is history. Down goes Anderson.
One piece.
There you go. He gets the one piece. One more time, Mike.
We get the one piece.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get the series.
Oh, Ike Taylor. That was an all-timer. Shout out. The old show of Steiny, Guru, and Dibbs. Ike Taylor, undefeated. If we're going to go Mount Rushmore of interviews at the station, that has to be one of them. 888-957-9570. That's the number. Call or text. Who was the MVP of this past weekend? What did you do this past weekend? Let me know. As summer, I'm not going to say it's officially come close because we still got another couple months. I always associate summer ending in September. Officially, I always associate fall with September. I know the equinox, I don't know, all that sort of stuff. It's based on the calendar, all that stuff. I understand. Summer equinox, all the winter solstice. But for me, summer ends in September. So you got a couple more weeks left. Are we cramming in some trips? Are we going to do some preseason games? Niners, Raiders, joint practices this week in Henderson, Nevada before a Sunday matchup at Allegiant Stadium. Cannot wait for that. There's storylines galore between these two teams, too. You got the Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the obvious one. What's that handshake going to be like with Lynch and Shanahan and co. Dapping up Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, right? You got Max Crosby. After the quarterback doc, you saw what he did to Patrick Mahomes. You're going to try to do that with Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, amongst others. So there's lots of juicy details. You got the McDaniels angle with Shanahan. Lots of different stuff. Cannot wait for joint practices. That's going to be this week, Thursday and Friday. We'll be breaking it all down. And God bless those men and women covering that one. Whew. It's going to be a scorcher. I was sweating in 85 degrees yesterday. Cannot imagine what 100-plus degrees is going to be like down in Nevada. Good morning to all of you on Twitch and YouTube. We are streaming. Search 95.7 The Game. Like, subscribe. Like every single video that is streaming. I cannot stress this enough. Every single one that you see, that you pop up, you exit it out. Keep hitting that like button. And ring the bell is what we're saying. Subscribe. Appreciate Jesus El Guero chiming in on this beautiful Monday morning. Anderson landed clean shots first. Not really, though. He didn't get dropped. Anderson got his lunch taken, Jesus. Come on. Watch the video again. Pitching Ninja. For those of you on Twitter, Gotta check myself. I was checking Bontiel last week, filling in for the morning roast. On X, it's not Twitter, on X. But Pitching Ninja on X, he tweeted out a slow-mo. I did it again. He X'd it. I hate it. I need to get the X gun and give it to him drop. But he X'd it, and he went down like a sack of potatoes. Poor Tim Anderson. Poor guy. Good morning to all of you on the Xfinity mobile text line. 925. I got a screw in my tire, and it's flat, Joey. Happy Monday. The Joey actually put it over the top there, which I know is super tongue-in-cheek. That's great. I actually picture one of my brothers telling me that, so I'm sorry that happened, 925. I have been there, done that. It is not fun. Hopefully you can fix your own tires so you're not like me where you have to outsource that, but if you do, no sweat. Hopefully you have insurance. Velimac, Velmac, excuse me. Kevon Gooney, I like that. EJ, good morning. Does the Giants getting swept mean anything? No, it doesn't. Not to me. And we'll start there this morning as the Giants lose a mini series, 2-game set out in Oakland. A's get the Braybirds trophy because they split, but they won the last game of the series at home, so they get that little piece of hunk of metal. And, we like to poo-poo on that thing, but it kind of made me sad in a little way, knowing that this could potentially be, the last or second to last time that ever happened. So hopefully it doesn't. Sell John Fisher. Saw a lot of sell shirts along the broadcast, the multiple broadcasts. I was switching between Kruk and Kipe and the NBC Sports California, Dallas Braden and co. out there. And a lot of sell shirts, hearing the chants. It was good to see. A lot of fun in the tailgates, Giants fans, A's fan, getting together. I like that. At the end of the day, that's what baseball's really all about. It's camaraderie, getting in there. Because the games, and I know they've shortened, but the games is about interacting with the people around you. For me, I go to a baseball game to have fun, talk to some of the people I haven't caught up with if I'm going to a game with someone, relax, talk about the game that's happening, but also talk about other stuff. It's not football where I'm locked into every single play. It's not basketball where, again, I'm locked in. It's fast-paced. Stuff like that's going on. It's not hockey. Hoping for a fight. Shout out Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez. But it was good to see this past weekend. And very hot. And the ball was flying out of there. And listen, Giants fans, I'm sure, are going to feel like the sky is falling as we look at the MLB standings around the league. It wasn't a good weekend for a lot of the teams that the Giants were playing against, or going up against, I should say, in the standings. And I get it. Anytime you lose to this Oakland A's squad, it's going to, raise some eyebrows. And it should. It should. The Alex Cobb start was disappointing. Is he fading now? They can't afford that. If Alex Cobb is going to revert back into the Alex Cobb prior to this year, which is not an all-star, then they got some problems. But Ross Stripling, impressive. That's 3 or 4 starts now in a row where I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about Ross Stripling there. But I'm going to need Alex Cobb to stay there. Because if you got 3 guys, and I'm including Logan Webb, who I have all the faith in the world in, then you got some action. But as it stands right now, Giants, after the Dodgers won yesterday, they're 4 games back of the NL West. Felt like missed opportunity this past weekend, considering how things went. You had an off day Friday. You thought that could have retooled, recharged some stuff. Good to see Tyro Estrada back. If you're the Giants. Had a bunt RBI single yesterday. But you're 4 games back of the Dodgers. And if we go to wild card standings, today, August 7th, 2023, year of our Lord, you're tied right there with the Phillies. I guess they're technically due to a tie break. They're right in front of you. But you're 3 games up on the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds and 3.5 on Miami. So, again, not the end of the world, but eyebrow raising, yes. Good morning to all of you who were at the game, chiming in on the Xfinity mobile text line 650. Had a great weekend with the family. Nice. Good to hear. Stay dry. Stay dry. Well, Not a lot of dry people out there. I meant stay cool. And speaking of staying cool, do you see Lionel Messi again? Oh my God. He just keeps doing it. Lionel Messi is unbelievable. He might be having the single greatest, start to a league that I've ever seen in quite some time. That's how good this guy's been. He joined literally the worst team in the MLS. Lionel Messi, Miami FC, awful. Awful, not good. But he joined them, and they haven't lost, if I'm not mistaken. Have not lost. And this guy's got what? How many goals? Not 5, not 6, not... He's unbelievable. Clutch. So shout out Lionel Messi for doing MVP Mondays. Whew. The GOAT. He's my GOAT. It's not even close. Missed me with the Peles, RIP. The Cristiano Ronaldos. It's Lionel Messi. Not even close. El Guero. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz was a circus too. Did not watch it. Saw the highlights. Although I kept saying that Nate Diaz is what he does. Just refuses to go down. That guy, if boxing fights, I think I saw who was it, PFT commenter. If boxing fights lasted 100 rounds, Nate Diaz would win every single one. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree. But Jake Paul winning via unanimous decision over Nate Diaz. And the U.S. women's national team, as we're doing a recap of this past weekend, taking the L in the first knockout stage to Sweden and penalties. Oh. Say it ain't so. I expected more. Come on. I get it. Three-peats are tough. Never been done in the history of the Women's World Cup. No team has ever three-peated. I don't think any team's ever three-peated in the history of the men's either, right? So, disappointing there. Very odd to see some of the coverage I saw. I shouldn't say coverage. I suppose social media, which is toxic, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised because it's a cesspool out there. What a hate towards our women's national team. It's very odd to me. It's supposed to be patriotic, right? Root for America. But I guess we're rooting against them because of certain players' political affiliations, which is always odd to me. Again, the great part about this country is our differences, political parties aside, and then coming together to root for one team. But people, I guess, were happy to cheer against them. Just fascinating to me. The dynamics juxtaposing between the men's and the women's squad, because one or two women maybe a little more outspoken than some of the men on the U.S. men's national team side. But again, I digress. I'm not going to turn this to a political show. Just thought it was interesting, those that claim to be patriotic in America first, rooting against them. But maybe they're just really big Swedish fans. Shout out Swedish House Mafia. 888-957-9570 is the number. A's take 2 against the Giants. They take home the Bay Bridge Trophy this past weekend. Those of you who are at the game, hit me up, 888-957-9570. It's the call or text. And also, be sure to download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for all of your Giants, A's, 49ers, San Francisco Giants coverage. And man, 49ers, that's going to start heating up here soon, folks. And today, as Joe Shasky will join me here in about 30 minutes for the crossover, he was out all last week. My guy's officially worried about this Nick Bosa contract situation. Relax, Joe. If you're listening right now, it's going to be fine. He will sign. This isn't the Raiders, all right? I'm speaking as a Raider fan. Directly to you, Joe Shasky, if you're listening. They don't get that stuff done. The Khalil Mack, that happens with the bad organizations, all right? And they redeem themselves a little bit with Max Crosby. I mean, I would have rather had both Max Crosby and Khalil Mack, but I digress. The Giants, what have they shown you when it comes to these contracts? They're going to pay the guys. They paid the Kittles, the Garoppolos, the Fred Warners. They're paying these guys. Hell, they Locked up Dre Greenlaw, what looks like a steal at this point. So they're going to lock up Nick Bosa, locked up Eric Armstead. They're going to do right by him. But I get it. It's the fan in us. You get nervous the longer it goes. And the longer it goes, and if he doesn't end up practicing until week 1, if it goes all the way till then, a few more weeks, which then would be a little concerning because then you start worrying about injuries. Now, I know Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, all those guys, John Bosa, the dad, right? The patriarch. Those guys are gym rats. They're going to stay in shape. They do what they do. But there's nothing like simulating those live reps in practice, joint practices. And I wouldn't expect Nick Bosa to play any preseason games, especially if he's going to get paid. Not worth the risk there. But soft tissue injuries. We had Eric Crocker on last week on the Morning Roast, former NFL DB, covers a team for Locked On 49ers podcast with Brian Peacock, not Brad Peacock. Shout out the pitcher. But he was talking about, injury concerns. If he comes back, not having practiced, goes right in, goes in Pittsburgh week 1 or week 2, whatever, week 1, whenever it is, gets hurt. And then do you look at that whole situation holding out as a disaster? Because that would be a disaster. You cannot afford to lose Nick Bosa on this season. You're not winning a Super Bowl without this guy. So to that, I understand Joe Shasky's concern. Are you concerned, 49ers fans out there at 888-957-9570, that you have not seen a Nick Bosa contract extension yet? Not holding in a la Adebo Samuel last season. Does that concern you? 888-957-9570. My family, are you concerned about Jimmy G is the real question, Spadoni. That via the YouTube chat. No, I'm not. It may be cynical of me. If you're just asking me as a fan of the silver and black, no. Because I want Caleb Williams. It's just... I'm sorry. It's just the writing on the wall. You're not winning anything with Jimmy, to me. It's just... I don't know what the direction Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler are going on it. As we do a quick aside here for Raiders football, which I can do because it's my show on the pregame show, 5 to 6. We'll get back to the Niners and Giants, don't worry. But I have no idea what this team and what this franchise is doing. I mean, you signed Derek Carr to that extension, get rid of him after a year. You signed Darren Waller to an extension, get rid of him after a year. You signed Devontae Adams, can't get rid of him because that dead cap would be massive. So he's locked in for at least this year and next year probably. I think they have an out after 2. We'll see with Hunter Renfrow. He got extended. You bring in Jacoby Myers. And then you bring in Jimmy Garoppolo. He has the foot thing. All right. He's ready for training camp. Much to do about nothing. It's fine. You draft Tyree Wilson with your first pick out of Texas Tech. Foot injury. Hasn't practiced yet. Don't even know if he's going to practice in training camp. They knew that going into the pick. That's why he didn't go top 5, which he was projected to prior to the injury. So we shall see there. I just don't know what the vision for that team is. And we're going to be breaking down a lot of these other big storylines around the NFL. The Raiders don't really crack my top 5. But something that does crack the top 5 for me is the team that's going to get Caleb Williams, the Heisman winner out of USC, quarterback. Guy's got it all. He's getting compared to Patrick Mahomes. And I know he's not Patrick Mahomes. Just compared to, which isn't fair to him. Not even close. But he's got the cannon. He's got the athleticism. He's got the arrogance. He's got the swag. And he's one of the greatest quarterback prospects since, not too long ago, the Trevor Lawrences, the Andrew Lucks, the John Elways. That's the class he is getting put in. And I believe if your future is already looking murky and you're already in a division with a Justin Herbert and a Patrick Mahomes, and now Sean Payton, we'll see what he does with Russell Wilson, it was awful last year. I think you might as well just tank, eat the year. Probably going to be bad anyways, if we're just going to be honest. But some say they might be good enough to just be outside of that pick. You have to be really bad to get Caleb, like Arizona Cardinal bad, potentially Los Angeles Ram bad, Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Like, those are the teams we're talking about. So why not? You're not doing anything anyways these next few years. And if you're a fan out there and you believe that this team could do something, you're delusional. I've been there. It's tough to accept that this team is going to be bad. But for most of my life, they've been bad anyway. So it's easy to come to reality. Hard to root for a tanking team. Hard for me to accept it. But that's where we're at. 888-957-9570 is the number. I know there's some Raider fans out there listening that may disagree with me, but it's for the best. And as a parent, now, father of two, sometimes you got to be the bad guy and tell the kids like it is. Kids, sorry, we're not going to Disneyland this year. We're going to be awful. We can go to the street fair, the first Fridays. We can do that. But we ain't doing anything fun outside of that this year. That's basically what it is, rooting for a tanking team. You ain't doing anything fun. Maybe get one and win or two. Go get some ice cream out Baskin Robbins. I like Thrifties. We have a Rite Aid near us. But that's what this Raiders season is going to be. Not fun. And I'm already expecting Jimmy Garoppolo, who's looked bad at practice, spoiler alert, hasn't been looking good at training camp, to not be very good this year. I could be wrong. He could stay healthy, and they win 7 or 8 games, which would be the worst thing for a team, because the worst thing to be in the NFL is mediocre. It's the worst place to be. Got to be good or really bad. Unless you're building something. And I don't know what this team is building, because they were just in the playoffs 2 years ago and blew like 50 double-digit leads last season. This team lost to Jeff Saturday. Baker Mayfield as a Ram. I have zero faith in what they're doing. As I digress. Here on the pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 888-957-9570 is the number. My family's not concerned. He just had bad outing with those interceptions. What are we doing? Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't want to say stinks. That's just... I'm not... listen, I don't have to talk about him the next couple days. I will talk about him Thursday and Friday. I'll try not to, but let's shift over to Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, shall we? Because that's going to be the topic of conversation as these joint practices near closer. Sam Darnold as well. Who's going to look good? Who's going to separate themselves? Who's going to be playing in preseason? Who's going to be getting those first team reps? Is Brock Purdy going to be playing in preseason? He damn well should be. Right? Guy's played 8 games. I don't think he's earned the right to not play in them. Now, if you're citing injury concerns, this guy's got to play live reps at some point, right? I would like to see some of that, especially going up against a team you're practicing against. So, yes, Brock Purdy should be playing in the preseason. Do you disagree? Hit me up on Twitch and YouTube, and stream us live on Twitch and YouTube every single day, Monday through Friday, here on 95.7 The Game. Ring the bell, like, and subscribe. So, we had Jordan Elliott on the Morning Roast last Friday. Covers the team for Niners Nation. Does a hell of a job. If you're not following him on Twitter, go ahead and hit up Jordan Elliott. Did it again on X. It's going to be tough. But this guy knows his stuff. Goes to training camp. He's locked in. And the topic of conversation was, can Brock Purdy be a top 10 quarterback next season? I told Bonte, as I was filling in on the Morning Roast, I believe he can if he shows what he did last season, this season. Not crazy. He played like a top 10 quarterback towards the end of the year last season. So why, if he duplicates that? Absolutely. Right? Here's Jordan Elliott's thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially if you look at like efficiency numbers and you look at just, again, putting up points and scoring the way they did last year and just keeping the offense on schedule, I think absolutely he is a guy that could fall into that top 10 ranking. I think it all depends on what your view of what a top 10 quarterback is. But if we're going based off of objective metrics and things that can be tracked with statistics and numbers, yeah, I absolutely think he can, because as a rookie, he came in right away and he was, leading a top 5 offense based on all those numbers and that efficiency. So I definitely think if he stays healthy, he would be in that conversation.
If he stays healthy, he will be in that conversation. Do you agree? If Brock Purdy stays healthy, will he be a top 10 quarterback for the 49ers next season? 888-957-9570 is the number to get involved. Call or text the Xfinity Mobile text sign. We're up against it. We're going to take a quick break. Come on back. Take your calls and texts on that. A's Giants. A's taking 2 from the Giants this past weekend. Are you concerned? Are the Giants leaking oil? Or was this a little blip? That was the A's World Series. Let's move on. Let's take on the lowly Angels who have lost 6 straight. All that and more coming up next on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
Every piece of land has a story. The Upshaw's right there's with a John Deere 1 Series tractor they call Penny.
When your project comes up, you have to just jump in and figure out what is it going to take.
From front loader to backhoe, the Upshaws have the tools to DIY all day long. Run with us on a 1 Series tractor and start telling your story. Get $1,000 off a 1025R tractor and 0% APR fixed rate for 60 months. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855.
presentations. Go to sfhistory.org and discover the San Francisco Historical Society, giving our history a great future. Become a member today.
Now, back to the pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. Seem to have triggered some people on the Xfinity Mobile text line and our callers, specifically Sam Loveman. Sorry, Sammy. Usually you have to wait till 6 to get some angry callers, but I'm doing it early today at 888-957-9570. U.S. women's national team, apparently, very controversial. I just said, I was like, wow, I was just surprised about how many people were just actively just rooting against them. Didn't know there were so many Swedish patriots out there. Big Swede community here in the Bay Area. Shout out. That's fine. I like IKEA. But they fall, the U.S. women's national team, to Sweden in penalty kicks. Megan Rapinoe misses the PK. And it was see you later. The hopes for a three-peat died there. We can take your calls and text on if you want. 888-957-9570. Just thought it was interesting. What else is interesting is the 49ers quarterback situation. Hell of a segue there. Brock Purdy. Could he be a top 10 quarterback this next season? Is that crazy to say? I don't think so. Here's what Jordan Elliott said via the Morning Roast last Friday. Covers the team for Niners Nation. Does a hell of a job there. Go ahead and follow him on X if you haven't. His thoughts on if Purdy could be a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially if you look at like efficiency numbers and you look at just, again, putting up points and scoring the way they did last year and just keeping the offense on schedule, I think absolutely he's a guy that could fall into that top 10 ranking. I think it all depends on what your view of what a top 10 quarterback is. But if we're going based off of objective metrics and things that can be tracked with statistics and numbers, yeah, I absolutely think he can, because as a rookie, he came in right away and he was, leading a top 5 offense based on all those numbers and that efficiency. So I definitely think if he stays healthy, he would be in that conversation.
And that's the key right there. Health. Is he going to stay healthy? That's what we've been discussing this all offseason. He's coming off major arm surgery, ramping up, getting strength back in there. And for an arm that was already limited to begin with, it gives me and many others pause for concern. Having said that, he's the guy week 1. No one's arguing that. He has earned the right to be QB1 heading into week 1 in Pittsburgh. He showed that last year in those 8 games. Now, Trey Lance. Will he get an opportunity? If Purdy gets hurt, that's going to be the next question. Who's going to be the quarterback 2? I think this is all some big smokescreen from Kyle Shanahan, this whole quarterback battle. I think it's going to be ultimately Brock Purdy, then Trey Lance, then Sam Darnold as a 3. Hell, Sam Darnold may even get asked to be released if he ends up being the 3rd quarterback. Because I think he wants a chance to be the legit backup elsewhere. If he's buried on the depth chart behind Purdy and Lance, I think his prospects are looking bleak for his future, and he needs to have some reps elsewhere and potential live game reps filling in for someone that gets hurt. So I don't think Sam Darnold sticks around if he chooses to be a 3. Do you disagree with that? 888-957-9570. And if that's the case, then Brandon Allen would be your 3rd. Because they're probably keeping 3 quarterbacks now that they have this new rule. Because it's the 49ers rule now. Are they calling it the Purdy rule? Usually have all these different rule changes. The Buster Posey rule, right? Cousins hitting into him, not Kirk. Although it could be your quarterback next season, 49ers fans, if you would be so lucky. But another conversation has been surrounding Trey Lance is if Sam Darnold becomes the QB2, I don't think he will be, but if he does, would the 49ers trade Trey Lance? Here was Jordan Elliott's thoughts on that.
The only way I could really see them looking to move him or moving on is if Trey amicably goes to the front office and is like, hey, you know what? Like, I've come out, I've competed. This clearly doesn't seem to be something that's working. Can we facilitate a move to another team? I could see a scenario where the 49ers would honor a request like that if Trey were to make it, but I don't see, a path to them feeling like they could cut him or trade him just based on him not beating out Darnold for that quarterback 2 spot if that's what happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see, them doing that, eating that. What Shanahan has showed us in the past is the guy hates to think that he's wrong, although he's quick to get rid of the bad picks that are the running back picks, right? You think about the amount of running backs this guy's gone through? Kyle Shanahan. I'm not saying he's the problem that these running backs aren't getting paid, but you just look at all the ones he's gone through, and that offense is still humming every single time. It's not a great look for him. Not saying your Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley's of the world aren't valued, but in this particular offense, outside of Christian McCaffrey, he's been able to plug and play the Jeff Wilson Jr.'s, Raheem Mostert's, Matt Breida's, Elijah Mitchell's of the world, right? Speaking of Christian McCaffrey, any chance this guy can get MVP this season? I'm not talking enough about that in a Shanahan offense. I mean, the last time it happened was 11 years ago with Adrian Peterson. Maybe gone are the days of any other position outside of the quarterback winning the MVP, but if anyone's going to do it, it would be Christian McCaffrey, right? 888-957-9570. We can continue to take your calls and texts as it pertains to the 49ers. Again, joint practices this week in Henderson, Nevada against the Raiders, Thursday, Friday, before playing them on their first preseason game at Allegiant Stadium, which is, as you know, the home of this year's Super Bowl. Man. Are we going to get another home team in the Super Bowl this year? I mean, 2 of the last 3 years, we had Tampa, Bucks winning it at home. We had the Rams winning at SoFi. Raiders? No, it's not happening. Not that defense. Miss me with that. Please. What would be worse for a Raiders fan this year? And I'm digging in. I'm thinking of all the sadness because I'm already knee deep in the tank mode. What's worse? The Chiefs winning it at Allegiant or the Niners? Man. Is it going to be Chiefs-Niners Part 2? Oh. No.
When does that crack come into play for you?
That's not crack. That's facts. That could happen. Chiefs-Niners is a legit possibility for the Super Bowl at Allegiant. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm sure Mark Davis is going to be eating that up, right? Ugh. Well, he doesn't care. He's raking in the money at this point with that place. A's taking 2 for the Giants this past weekend. You concerned Giants fans. We're going to ask Joe Shasky next here in a few minutes. The crossover. He had a week to decompress from all the sports, but I know there were certain storylines eating up at him. He was out there with Bonte and Boxer and Gerson, I believe Saturday, so that was really cool to see out there with the fans. The Collie parking lot looked packed, man. It looked en fuego. It looked fun, exciting. Giants fans, A's fans, everyone getting together. The tailgate is on point. And I'll say this, because I've been to many a Raider game there. The tailgate at the Collie, undefeated. All time. I'm putting it against any other place. I don't care. Your Green Bay, Wisconsins, your Philadelphias. And I saw what Philly crowds are really like there. Miss me with that. Your Dallas Cowboys. No. Give me the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum tailgates over anyone. And they're very welcoming. You might think not with some Raider fans there, some A's fans. No. Very welcoming, very nice, very friendly. So great to see Hillary from Boxer and Gerson out there with Bonte and Shasky on Saturday. We got one more break. Coming back. Crossover next. Your calls, your texts. Hit me up on Twitch, on YouTube. We are streaming. Search 95.7 The Game, like and subscribe there. And also be sure to download that Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game, amongst other stations. New Live 105. Back and better than ever, baby. Alternative music. I was jamming to that. Come on. Mr. Brightside, undefeated. Black Parade, undefeated. Probably two of the greatest alternative rock songs of my generation. So you can download that bad boy. Have there. Alice, 97.3 is on there as well. Little T Swift for all you Swifties out there. She's still performing. I think she's at SoFi. I was asking the Mrs. Jade because she went to the one at Levi's last Saturday. I think she's got 2 more in SoFi still. Or she's finishing up Tuesday. Something ridiculous. But man, imagine the money she's raking in. I know from merch sales alone, hour-long lines. For days she's not even performing. People are waiting for her merch. So download the Aussie app and you can listen to all the T-Swift songs there. One more segment coming up. Crossover next. Joe Shasky joins me, Joe Spadoni, here on the Pregame Show, 95.7 The Game.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high-commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But...
Sam Lubman's triggered me. Before we get to Joe Shasky for the crossover, he had the audacity to say, what does it say about the MLS that this old man Lionel Messi coming in there to just dominate easily on the worst team in the league? I was like, well, it tells you that Lionel Messi is the greatest soccer player of all time. That's what it tells you. This guy just won the World Cup last year against France, stacked France, who was trying to go back-to-back. Kylian Mbappe, Olivier Giroud, Antoine Griezmann. Come on. Miss me with that Messi slander at 5:48 a.m. August 7th as Joe Shasky joins me now. Joe.
The only Messi I acknowledge is Messi Marv.
Okay, there you go. I was where you're going to go. Messi just like at a buffet or something like that. There, Messi Marv. That's a good one. Give you a 4. It's an early morning 4. You're decked out in your Giants hat, your Niners gear.
Yeah.
It's a fun last weekend. I saw you and Bonte at the Collie.
I feel like Rambo. I have an entire sleeve of ammunition of takes that I'm ready to just get off today in the jungle. So I'm ready. You just tell me where to go, point the direction, and I will give you the take.
You're in the jungle. Come on.
Come at me.
Have a take. Don't suck. Come on, Joe Shasky. Clones. What'd you do, by the way, during your time off?
I spent the time up the river and just relaxed.
Chilled.
Did a lot of sleeping.
A
lot of relaxation.
That's what you got to do.
Exactly. And then had one of the worst sinus, one-day sinus migraines I've ever had in my life. I couldn't get out of bed on Thursday.
Man.
Horrible.
Man, you got to have the NyQuil and just pass out or what?
Oh, dude, your boy, I thought I had COVID. And I was like, of course. You know what I mean? Like
perfect timing, right?
COVID's making a comeback. Quote unquote. And so I was in bed all day. And you know that you're not feeling good because when you sleep all day, your back is hurting. And then you get up, you eat a little, let's say it's like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And then you go back to bed and sleep again for another 7, 8 hours. Yeah. That's when you know you're legitimately not feeling well.
No, absolutely. It might have been because allergies have just been bad this past weekend. Horrible. Me, Jade, my mother-in-law's in town.
I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one. The wind, it's very dry. It's been hot. So allergy season, if you will, making a comeback. Nick Bosa. Is he going to be coming back anytime soon? Joe Shasky, you sent on the thread last night. You're officially worried about this Nick Bosa contract situation, man.
Look, there's two sides to this. There's the 49er equity that they've earned regarding all of the different people that they've signed over the last couple of years, which is a fair counterpoint. Like, Joe, they've gotten all these deals done. We're also dealing with the Bosas. They're a very business-like team when it comes to how they operate in the NFL. Every single player on that field is all about, hey, we're trying to win a Super Bowl right now. Okay? And I know that the quarterback drama has overshadowed a lot of the Nick Bosa conversation. This is one of the, 4, 5 best defensive players in the league? If I just said, name the top 5 or 6 defensive players in the league.
He's number 1 for me, but then he is definitely top 5. He just won
Even
GPOY.
If you're a Bosa hater.
Yes.
Even if, let's just say you're a Bosa hater. He's not coming out of the top 6, is he?
No.
Okay, so we're talking about mega millions of dollars. You drafted him number 2 overall. You have been wanting to marry yourself to him for multiple years. I get it. There's some injury concerns. I know that you're not just going to give a guy what he wants. There is a negotiation process, a give and take, if you will. What is taking so long?
Yeah, this is interesting to me. Is there like an injury clause? Is there something that's the guaranteed money at signing?
A mill there? Like, most fans don't give 2 rips about a mill here, mill there. Just, I want my favorite player on the field come day X. Now, I'm not here to say, they need him in camp. He needs to be ready. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, is everything okay? Because I'm officially starting to get a little worried. And I know that the Niners, this is complicated. Like, the Niners have earned the level of the benefit of doubt. We're a full weekend. This is one of the longest holdouts for this regime, definitely. And going back to like Michael Crabtree. I know Frank Gore held out for a couple days back in 2011. And I've got some other ones. Obreo Franklin held out. Alex Boone held out. I mean, this is not good. They need him in. If everybody is going to be all in day 1, Super Bowl, we're all here, we're pulling the rope in the same direction. I get it. He's a D-end. He can just slot and play. I understand all of that. Don't I want him around all these youngsters?
No.
Don't I want him setting the tone?
Well, and
don't I want Colt McKivitz going up against him in one-on-ones?
Yes. Iron sharpens iron, especially at this time of the year. And listen, I would like to see him in joint practices. I would like to see him getting these live reps because Eric Crocker joined Bonte and I last week as I was filling in for you, Joe. Former NFL DB, Locked on 49ers broadcast with Brian Peacock as well, our boy. And listen, he was talking about soft tissue injuries, right? Like that's the thing. When these guys hold out, they don't have those live reps. All of a sudden, you're in week 1 in Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
Slip here or there, night, season's over. That's a concern. Absolutely. We've seen it time in and time out. And to your point, like Deebo Samuel did this, but he held in.
Yes.
It's a little different.
He showed up.
We got to see him. Now, he wasn't doing stuff with the team. He was running off the side, doing his own thing. But it's a little different, and it is scary. This guy is the leader of your defense. I mean, Fred Warner, fine, but he's the best player. He leads by his play on the field, Nick Bosa. And I would be concerned if we're just looking at fully guaranteed contracts from his peers, if you will, the TJ Watt leading it at $80 million. Is it something like that where it's just like, hey, I'm the best player in the league. I want $90 million fully guaranteed. I want a hundo. Like, is it that? And then they're just like, it was like, because are we really $5-10 million? Is it that much of a difference to me?
I feel they've got to be somewhere in the ballpark. Like, again, this should be a different story. If the guy was like a 1-year wonder, like I would totally get, like Raheem Mostert a couple years ago wanted like a little increase. Yeah. It's like, Raheem, you had like 6 good games.
No, it's like a Kenny Golladay type contract where it failed at the Giants because he had 1 good year at Detroit.
Since day one, he's been all-pro level. I'm not saying that he's been exactly an all-pro every step of the way, but he's been all-pro level for essentially the entire time.
When healthy, yes.
I mean, we're really, I feel like we're stuck in the weeds if we're really going to like split hairs over a mill here and there. There are so many contracts the Niners have given out over the last couple of years where guys who aren't good have gotten way more than they should. For example, exercising the 5th-year option on Mike McGlinchey. You paid him like $11 or $12 million a year. He's an average player.
Yeah, so it's what it is.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so if we're really arguing and hassling over $1 million here, it's like, come on, I can go up and down your roster. This is what a Niner fan thinks. 97 needs to be a Niner for a long time. And now I'm sure most people, and this has been the rhetoric over and over, well, they're going to get it done. They're going to get it done. All I'm saying is they better get it done.
I'm going to ask a question here, a loaded question. I'm not saying do this thing. I know it would trigger some fans that are listening right now. I'm just throwing it out there. What do you think you can get for Nick Bosa if you put him on the market?
See, that's a great question. No, look, I'm doing the exercise. I want him on the Niners.
Yes.
Right?
We want
him. If you
him.
draft someone number 2 overall, you pray to God they have the success and the impact that Nick Bosa has.
Yes.
All right? Like, just look at, the guy averages basically a sack a game.
Yeah.
Just look at what he does. Like, he's played 50-some-odd games. He's got about 50 sacks. Like, that's what this guy does. And I know he faded at the end of last year, but I'm talking about in the playoffs particularly.
He also didn't have a number 2, and you hope that Drake Jackson could be that guy who was getting inactives last year in his rookie season towards the end of the year. You hope a Cleve Furl who you brought in. So he needs help. He for as great as he is, yes, he needs help because he can't be that dude. He will fade towards the end as we saw last year.
Yeah, but if you go back to the years before last year, he actually had really good playoff runs.
He did.
So I know there are a lot of people saying, hey, he faded last year. I think he was hurt. And clearly Mahomes said it to him in week 6 or whatever in that quarterback doc. But I do love the exercise. What could you get for Nick Bosa? And if you I don't want to do it because I want Nick Bosa on my team. I think you can get 2 or 3 first-rounders.
At least 2 for me. What was Khalil Mack? It was 2, and
I think he's better than Khalil Mack.
Yes, but at the time, Khalil Mack had just won All-Pro back to 2 different positions.
2 positions.
Yeah, so he was like that dude at that time. Now he's faded a little here, but he's still a future Hall of Famer. We get all that. But that's what the baseline is, right? Like we've seen,
but the
not
other
getting
real
that
part,
5th-year deal or the 5th year on his option, stuff like
that.
But
I'm glad you bring up Khalil Mack because there is a real element of like some of these guys, the best you ever see is the first 5 or 6 years. Sean Merriman obviously did steroids, so I know that people are going to kind of look the other way.
Lights out.
His first couple years were his best years.
Yeah.
All right. I look at someone like Joey Bosa since signing the contract. Hasn't given you the same impact. Now, I don't know if that's fair to bestow that upon Nick, but I do believe that that's a fair counterpoint to people saying, hey, maybe we have seen the best of the guy.
I mean, I argue all the time, like the Raiders got the best out of Khalil Mack. You can say what you want, but the guy won 2 All-Pros, All-Pro at 2 different positions, 1 DPOI. Hasn't replicated that since.
No.
Not even close. Like he had that really good first year with the Bears, and then after that, it was just like, okay, he's been good, but he gets hurt a lot. So that is a concern as it pertains to Nick Bosa. Speaking of concerns, we got a couple more minutes here. Cross Joe Shasky joining me here. Morning Roast next. Bonte Hill, cannot wait. Joe Shasky's been gone a week. He's got a lot of takes, folks,
So many.
to get off his chest.
Righteous Gemstones, most underrated script writing of all time.
Okay, I still need to get into that on HBO.
No one's talking about.
No.
Danny McBride is a genius.
Oh, he's
I'm
hilarious.
a sucker for him.
Dude, that goes all the way back to Hot Rod with Andy Samberg. All time, I love Danny McBride.
Danny McBride is one of the funniest. And by the way, Uncle Baby Billy, the character, the guy that plays that actor, he was. I think he was Shane in The Wire. One of the greatest, not The Wire, Shane in The Shield. I think he was in The Shield. One of the greatest actors. This guy can do serious. He can do comedy. He is a genius. Sorry, just a quick aside. Righteous Gemstones, so underrated, no one talks about.
Walton Goggins. Is that one of the guys?
Yeah, is brilliant.
That guy, okay.
And the sister.
Adam Devine's in it, too, from Workaholics.
The entire cast is Eli Gemstone, hilarious. The sister, hilarious. It is so underrated. No, it's dirty. Don't get me wrong.
No, it's HBO. Of course it is.
Hilarious.
Okay, I will take your word on that. Danny McBride, by the way, I don't know if you've seen the mashup of him and Mahomes.
He's all time.
Him and Mahomes sound the exact same when they speak.
I saw it.
It's one of the funniest
when
things I've ever seen.
Talking about who he's hanging out with.
It's so good. It's just,
Eastbound and Down to this day, season 1, I'll put that up against any comedy ever.
Well, Eastbound and Down about baseball. Speaking of which, concerns over the Giants this past weekend, Joey, losing 2 to Oakland, losing that Babe Ruth trophy.
I mean, they've exceeded my expectations all year. They're a team that's been playing above. Wilmer Flores has been one of your best players the last month.
I mean, they're still 3 games up in the wild card.
No, they've had a great year. Look, I'm not outraged at all. The Giants have exceeded my expectations. I'm seeing young players play. Matos has had a long, extended look. Bailey's had a long, extended look. I feel like those 2 players, I'm extremely encouraged. And the fact that they haven't yo-yoed them makes me feel very optimistic about the future of the San Francisco Giants. They're running out of pitching. Her bullpen is the only part of their team right now that's elite, right? And when you kick the ball around, when you don't get timely hitting, and you're a team that only has an elite bullpen, and you've wasted a lot of opportunities with those bullpens, and because you've had so many guys, like look at the appearances from the bullpen. Yeah. Guys are up in the 60s, and these appearances 70s. You're flirting with danger, and I think they've run out of pitching, and I'm not mad at the Giants right now. I'm actually enjoying the journey of this year. I don't think they're a championship contender by any stretch, and I'm excited to see Ohtani this week, because we got him today, and I'm excited to see Bochy come back.
Well, you better take care of the Angels. We've lost 6 straight, by the way, since the trade deadline. Not a great team right now. Damn near Shohei crying in the last outing because he was just sitting there just perplexed that they can blew this to the Seattle Mariners. Joe Shasky, Bonta Hill next, Morning Roast. Don't go anywhere, folks. They got a lot to say about the 49ers, Giants, amongst other things, right here on 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be.
Welcome to today's matinee.
Ever since we got Xfinity, my little sister and her friends can easily stream all their favorite stuff.
We'll start with 2 episodes of Top Chef, then Chopped.
When I was a kid, we'd worry about buffering. Now they just worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Enjoy these fine